I want to share with you 5 things that I just can't get enough of in the garden right now. 5 things I am loving. Hi you guys, this is Nicole from My Carolina Garden. I garden in Zone 8B in southeastern North Carolina. One of the last videos that I filmed, I started coming up with all of these little things as I'm like rearranging my garden and like adding color for fall, and I was like, I love doing this and I'm loving doing this. So I just wanted to put together this little list to just share my joy, and maybe some of you can relate to it. So the first thing that I have been loving in the garden lately is creating little vignettes. So styling little scenes that you can put together and just love. So an example of this would be my blue thrifted garden bench, where I am setting things up on there. You know, I do this seasonally. I change out the plants I have, maybe change out the decor or a candle or something like that. That would be an example of a vignette. Another one I feel like are my head planters, because man, I've been having fun styling those guys. It's when you have these items and the possibilities for creativity are just endless. That's the part that I'm talking about. Yes, I absolutely love changing my gardens around and sprucing them up seasonally, so that's something, but it's in particular these little scenes that I'm setting. I've just found so much joy in it. I realize, kind of like when I'm painting or making artwork and the time just fades away and you didn't realize how much time passed, that's what's happening to me when I'm designing these little vignettes. So that was number 1. Number 2 are easily rooting plants that just want to multiply like crazy. I swear, I've said before, I'm not the biggest, most successful person when it comes to like seed starting, but items that I can propagate through rooting in one way, shape, or form, oh my God, I love that. And I wouldn't be sharing this one if it wasn't for plants that are so tremendously easy to root. So some of my examples here. Coleus. Okay, I didn't really have a whole lot of coleus in my life before, but I got a couple little snippets of a coleus from a friend and I started rooting those in water. And meanwhile, I found a coleus that likes sun for myself, and a piece broke off of it while I was making a little flower arrangement with it. Rooted that. Guess what? All the coleus showed roots in just water in a week. That's one of like the fastest root growing plants that I have. So coleus is something. Pink polka dot plants. Man, I have pink polka dot plants coming up in my grass. They're just showing up all over the place. So I've been digging them up out of the ground, putting them into pots so I can keep them. But I'm thinking, man, it was a score when I bought those pink polka dotted plants on an annual sale where they cost me like $1 each or something like that. I don't remember what it was. And now I'm just making them so quickly and easily. And the third example of something that is just rooting tremendously is the dragon's breath celosia. Same sort of deal. I didn't even expect something that is an annual in my area to be leaving seeds behind that will then pop up, and because they're magenta, I can always tell what they are, so I don't just pick them as weeds and throw them away. And I have since potted up tons of the dragon's breath celosia. So, oh my gosh, that's like, hello. Easy to root plants, favorite. The third thing that I have been loving is using things or reusing things that I already have. It is repurposing, it is maybe redesigning or just setting things up in a different way. One of my examples is pallet wood. I was one of those crazy people that if I'd find a free pallet on the side of the road, I'd stick it in my trunk and I'd say, I don't know what I'm going to use that for, but I'm keeping it. And I had done all the nitty-gritty work of taking the pallets apart, cutting all the pieces of wood so I can store them in my garage for later use. Those are the kinds of things you do when your current self, your present self, no way, that your future self thanks your present self for having done. So my future self, the person who is actually going to utilize those pieces of wood and make projects out of them, was really thankful that the past version of myself had collected these pallets and taken all the wood apart. Some of the things I've done with my pallet wood, as you know, one of the things I'm most proud of is my blue boardwalk or garden pathway that's in my secret garden. That has been a delight. I'm thrilled that I even came up with the idea, so that's been really good. Another thing I've used pallet wood on or for are making pumpkins. This is a seasonal decor project, but I've made pumpkins that I've painted in various colors, and I get to set them out wherever those colors are appropriate. So that's using pallet wood. Something else, I have some weeds that are growing in my yard that sort of look like trees, and one of them I had planted in a very particular spot to see how it did, and it grew into basically a tree that I was able to enjoy. The size is wonderful. I had no regrets. So recently when I was wanting a tree or an evergreen or some sort of thing to come into my garden, but I'm trying to work on a budget, I took some of these tree weeds and planted them into the landscape. So it felt really good to take something that was already in the yard and just utilize it like that. Number 4 is clearance plants. Now, I'm the first one to admit and agree with everybody. The garden center is not always full of plants that you want to take home or that you think you can nurse back to health, or maybe they're not marked down enough, whatever it is. So I know that it's not always the case, but when you happen upon clearance sales for your plants, any season, any time of the year, that feels wonderful because you just feel like you're getting more bang for your buck. And then of course it's especially great when we get to nurse those things back to health and enjoy them. I've enjoyed doing this with clearance plants from over the summer. I had gotten some dipladenia and some hibiscus, and they were just on discount because the season for them was ending. Recently I've enjoyed mums being marked down to $2, things like that. I had great clearance success earlier in the spring as well, before summer even got here. So being able to add to your landscape at such a deep discount also feels amazing, and it's just, I feel so proud and excited, and I do like to pass that information along to you when I find these things, whether it's here on YouTube or on Instagram, just to let you know those deals were there. Go get them. Dividing my perennials is one of my very most favorite things. I talk about it all the time because I love it. I appreciate a plant that keeps giving back. I appreciate a plant that grows bigger and allows you to divide it up so you can spread it around your whole property and you don't just need to keep it large in one spot. Or if you're able to divide up your own perennials and give them away to other people and see the joy on their faces because they get something great out of it. And actually you do too, because you get to see them be happy. So I am a perennial flower girl. That's just how I've always been. I appreciate annuals and like to add them in for the little pops, but I really want the things that are going to keep thriving for me and keep getting bigger, like I said. Some of my best examples of that are hostas. Oh my goodness. If your hosta grows big, you can probably divide it into 4 pieces, maybe yearly or bi-yearly, depending on exactly the size of the plant. That hostas are amazing. My blanket flowers are absolutely amazing. Now the blanket flowers are a little bit different because they're reseeding, so they're kind of seeding up in different spots, so they become easier, not actually like sticking a shovel in the root ball like you are with a hosta to divide it. Nevertheless, all of these items can be given away or moved around. Oh my gosh, I just love that. Anyway, I just really wanted to share these things with you because, again, maybe you can relate, or maybe you want to think about what are your favorite things in the garden. But especially right now, as we're transitioning into a different season and we're really looking at our garden in a different way, what are some of the things we're loving? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and until next time, happy planting.